I hosted my sister's reception at my house to save the day. A few weeks later, she tried turning it into her new home. My parents took her side. I took them, so I took them out of my life. 3 years of 80-hour weeks, countless sacrifices, and a mountain of student loan debt had finally paid off. At 32, I climbed from junior architect to senior project manager at Henderson and Associates, one of Chicago's most prestigious firms. The promotion came with a salary that let me put a down payment on a 3-bedroom craftsman in Lincoln Park, my dream neighborhood since I first moved to the city at 23. The house needed work, but I loved every cracked tile and an updated fixture. I spent 6 months renovating it myself on weekends, watching YouTube tutorials until 2 a.m., learning to install subway tile backsplashes and refinish hardwood floors. My boyfriend at the time, Marcus, thought I was insane. He wanted me to hire contractors and spend my free time with him instead. We broke up 4 months into the renovation. The house stayed. By the time I finished, the place looked like something out of Architectural Digest. The kitchen had custom white shaker cabinets, quartz countertops, and a farmhouse sink I'd found at an estate sale. The living room featured exposed brick I'd painstakingly cleaned, original crown molding I'd restored, and a fireplace I'd converted from wood to gas. The backyard became my pride and joy, a small oasis with string lights, a stone patio, raised garden beds, and a pergola I built with my own hands. I hosted exactly 3 dinner parties before everything fell apart. My sister Vanessa called on a Tuesday evening in late April. I was reviewing blueprints for a new mixed-use development when her name flashed across my phone screen. We weren't particularly close. She was 28, 4 years younger, and we'd grown up in completely different worlds, despite sharing the same parents. Vanessa got pregnant at 19 and married Kyle 6 months later. They had 3 kids now. Madison was 8, Tyler was 6, and Olivia had just turned 4. "Beulah, I need your help." Her voice carried that particular edge of panic I'd learned to recognize over the years. "What's wrong?" "The venue canceled for the reception. They double booked us, and apparently the other couple put down their deposit first, so we're screwed. The wedding is in 3 weeks. I closed my laptop. Wait, what? How does a venue just cancel 3 weeks before an event? They're claiming there was a miscommunication with their booking system. Doesn't matter. The point is, we have no venue, no backup plan, and 200 people expecting a reception on May 27th. "Can't you find another venue?" Vanessa laughed bitterly. "Have you tried booking anything in the Chicago suburbs with 3 weeks' notice? Everything decent is taken. Everything else is either a gymnasium or costs more than Kyle makes in 6 months." Here's where I should have said no. Should have offered sympathy, suggested alternatives, maybe even helped make phone calls to find other options. Instead, I heard myself say, What about my house?" The silence stretched for several seconds. "Your house? The backyard is pretty big. We could set up tents, rent tables and chairs, hire caterers. It wouldn't be the grand ballroom you planned, but it could be nice, intimate." "Beulah, are you serious?" "Yeah, I mean it's your wedding reception. Family helps family, right?" That last line was something our mother, Patricia, had drilled into us since childhood. Family comes first. Family sacrifices for each other. Family doesn't keep score. Looking back, I realize Mom only invoked these principles when she needed something from me, but at the time, they felt like gospel truth. Vanessa burst into tears. "Oh my God, you're saving my life." "Kyle is going to freak out. This is perfect. You're the best sister ever." We spent the next 2 hours on the phone discussing logistics. She wanted a cocktail hour set up in the backyard with a main dinner under a large tent. Dancing would happen on the patio. She'd handle all the vendors and rentals, but I'd need to prepare the house for 200 guests trampling through over the course of 6 hours. The next 3 weeks became a blur of preparation. I took 2 days off work to deep clean every surface, rent additional bathroom facilities for the backyard, coordinate with Vanessa's vendors, and handle the logistics of parking for 200 people in a residential neighborhood. I got special permission from the city for temporary street parking restrictions. I trimmed hedges, power washed the patio, touched up paint on the pergola, and planted additional flowers to make everything photo ready. My parents visited twice during this period, both times to check on preparations rather than to help. Dad, Robert, was a retired insurance adjuster who spent most of his time golfing. Mom had worked as a dental hygienist until Vanessa got pregnant, then quit to help raise Madison. She never went back. "This is wonderful, what you're doing for your sister," Mom said during her second visit, surveying the backyard with approval. "Not everyone would be this generous." "It's just a house," I replied, adjusting one of the string lights. "It's more than that. It's sacrifice." Vanessa was so worried about disappointing Kyle's family. His mother was already making comments about how they couldn't afford a proper reception. I bit my tongue. Kyle's mother, Donna, had opinions about everything and shared them freely. The fact that Vanessa and Kyle were having a vow renewal ceremony and reception, celebrating 10 years of marriage rather than a first wedding, seemed to escape Donna's judgment. You'd think after a decade she'd be supportive, but instead she complained constantly about the expense and the spectacle. The reception itself went perfectly. The weather cooperated with sunny skies and a gentle breeze. The tent company arrived at 6 a.m. to set up. Caterers transformed my kitchen into a staging area for past appetizers and a buffet dinner. The DJ set up on the patio. By 3:00 p.m., when guests started arriving, my house looked like something out of a wedding magazine. I wore a navy blue dress and spent most of the evening making sure everything ran smoothly, directing guests to bathrooms, helping the caterers find extra ice, and basically acting as an unofficial coordinator. Vanessa looked happy, Kyle looked relieved, and Mom cried through half the speeches about family and commitment. Around 10 p.m., after most guests had left and only close family remained for cleanup, Vanessa hugged me tightly. "I can never repay you for this." "You don't need to. I'm glad it worked out." "No, seriously, you made this perfect." Kyle's mom then said she was impressed. And trust me, that woman is never impressed. I left exhausted but satisfied. This was what family did. We showed up for each other. The rental company collected the tent and tables the next morning. The caterers had already cleaned the kitchen the night before. By Monday evening, my house looked normal again, with only slightly trampled grass in the backyard to show that anything had happened. 2 weeks later, on a Saturday morning, I was at Home Depot buying supplies for a new project, installing floating shelves in my home office when Vanessa called. "Hey, what are you up to?" "Shopping." "Why are you home later? Like around noon?" "I should be." "Why?" "No reason. Just wanted to stop by with the kids. They've been asking about your backyard." Something in her tone felt off, but I couldn't pinpoint what. "Sure, come by. I'll make lunch." They arrived at 12:30 in Kyle's pickup truck, which was packed with boxes and bags. I met them at the door, confused. "What's all this?" "Oh, just some stuff we're moving around," Vanessa said breezily, herding the kids past me into the house. "Madison, Tyler, go explore the backyard. Olivia, stay with Mommy." Kyle started unloading boxes without making eye contact. I followed Vanessa into the living room. "Seriously, what's going on?" She sat down on my couch, bouncing Olivia on her knee. "So, here's the thing. Our landlord is selling our rental house. He gave us 60 days notice last week." My stomach dropped. "Okay, that sucks, but there are plenty of rentals in the suburbs." "Not really. Not for what we can afford with 3 kids. Everything in our price range is either too small or in terrible neighborhoods, and with Kyle's credit, we can't qualify for a mortgage right now." "I'm sorry, but I'm not sure why you're telling me this while unloading boxes from your truck." Vanessa looked at me like I was being deliberately dense. "We need to stay here, just temporarily, until we figure things out. A few months tops." I actually laughed. "What? No, absolutely not. Beulah, come on, you have 3 bedrooms. You only use 1. You've got that huge basement that's basically empty. We wouldn't be in your way." "Vanessa, this is my house, my space. I'm not running a hotel." "Family doesn't charge rent," she said, her tone shifting from wheedling to defensive. "And after what you did hosting the reception, I figured you understood that we needed help." "Hosting your reception for one day is completely different from moving your entire family into my house." Kyle appeared in the doorway, a box labeled "Kitchen, Pots, and Pans" in his arms. "Where should I put this?" "Back in your truck," I said firmly. "This isn't happening." Vanessa's face hardened. "I already called Mom. She thinks it's a great idea." "You called Mom before asking me?" "I knew you'd make it weird." "Mom said you'd probably be resistant at first, but that you'd come around once you realized it was the right thing to do." I felt heat rising in my chest. "The right thing to do?" Vanessa, I worked my ass off for this house. I renovated it myself. I earned every square foot. You can't just move in because you're having housing issues. We're family, she said, her voice rising. You're supposed to help family. I did help. I gave you my house for your reception. That doesn't entitle you to live here. Madison wandered in from the backyard. Mom, is this our new house? I looked at Vanessa in disbelief. You told them they were moving in before asking me. I told them we might be staying with Aunt Beulah for a while. Kyle, seriously, start bringing in the essentials. The kids' clothes, at least. Nobody is bringing anything in, I said, my voice sharp enough that Olivia started crying. Vanessa stood up, jostling her daughter. You're being selfish. Do you have any idea how hard things are for us right now? Kyle's hours got cut at the warehouse. Our savings are gone. We have 3 kids who need stability. Then you should have planned better. You should have saved money instead of spending $10,000 on catering and rentals for a vow renewal reception. The words came out harsher than I intended, but I couldn't take them back. Vanessa's face went pale, then red. That's low, even for you. Get out. Take your boxes and leave. I'm calling Mom, Vanessa said, pulling out her phone. Call whoever you want. This is my house, and you're not moving in. She did call Mom right there in my living room with me standing 3 feet away. I could hear Mom's voice, tiny and high-pitched, through the speaker. Beulah won't let us stay, Vanessa said, her voice breaking. She's kicking us out onto the street. Put her on, Mom demanded. Vanessa thrust the phone at me. I took it. Mom, what is wrong with you? Her voice was ice. Your sister needs help, and you're turning your back on her. She showed up at my house with moving boxes and expected to move in without asking. That's not reasonable. She's family. You have the space. This is what we do. No, this is what I've always done. Vanessa needs something. I provide it. You need money. I send it. Dad's car breaks down. I pay for repairs. I'm done being the family ATM. That's a disgusting way to talk about helping your family. Your sister has 3 children. Are you really going to let them be homeless? They're not going to be homeless. There are shelters. There are social services. There are other family members. Shelters. Mom's voice went shrill. You want your nieces and nephew in a shelter? I want Vanessa to take responsibility for her own life instead of expecting me to fix everything. Your father and I are very disappointed in you. Add it to the list, I said, and hung up. Vanessa was crying, Madison was crying, Olivia was screaming, and Tyler had wisely stayed outside. Kyle stood in the doorway looking miserable. Please, guys, he said quietly. Just a few weeks. We'll find something. I almost wavered. Kyle had always been decent to me, and it wasn't really his fault that Vanessa treated me like a personal crisis management service. But I thought about what the next few weeks would look like. 3 kids running through my house, my office space is converted to a bedroom. My carefully maintained sanctuary turned into chaos. I'm sorry, Kyle, I really am, but the answer is no. You need to leave. They left slowly, reluctantly, with Vanessa shooting daggers at me the entire time, and Madison asking repeatedly why Aunt Beulah was being mean. I stood in my doorway and watched them drive away, then went inside and locked the door. The guilt hit immediately. I poured a glass of wine and sat on my couch, staring at nothing. Was I being selfish? Was I wrong? These were questions I'd asked myself dozens of times over the next few days. My phone started ringing at 6:00 p.m. Mom. I didn't answer. She called 4 more times. Then Dad called. Then Vanessa. I turned off my phone and finished the bottle of wine. By Sunday morning, I had 17 missed calls and 32 text messages. Most were from Mom, variations on the theme of how heartless and selfish I was. Dad sent a few, less aggressive but still disappointed. Vanessa's messages started pleading and ended with venom. The final text from Vanessa, sent at 2 a.m., read, I hope you're happy in your perfect house all alone. Some people actually care about family. Monday at work, I threw myself into a new project proposal, grateful for the distraction. Around lunch, my personal phone rang. I turned it back on that morning. Unknown number. I answered. Beulah Thompson, speaking. This is Sharon Kowalski from Family First Services. Your mother listed you as an emergency contact for temporary foster placement of 3 minors. Can you confirm your address and availability? My blood went cold. I'm sorry, what? Your mother indicated that your sister's children may need emergency placement due to housing insecurity. We're conducting preliminary outreach to family members who might be able to provide temporary care. My sister's children are not being removed from her care. My mother is manipulating you. There was a pause. Can you elaborate? I explained the situation as calmly as possible. Sharon listened, then sighed. I see. Thank you for clarifying. I'll note this in our records. For what it's worth, this happens more often than you'd think. Family members trying to leverage the system for housing disputes. After I hung up, I sat in my car in the parking garage and cried. Not sad tears, angry tears. Mom had actually called child services to try to force my hand, to make me so afraid of my nieces and nephew being taken away that I'd cave and let Vanessa move in. That evening, I called my parents' house. Dad answered. Oh, Beulah, I'm glad you called. Your mother wants to talk. Put her on. He must have heard something in my voice because he didn't argue. A moment later, Mom picked up. Beulah, thank God. Have you reconsidered? You called CPS on Vanessa. Silence. That's what this has come to. You're trying to threaten me with my nieces and nephew being taken away. I didn't call to report her. I just inquired about options if they became homeless. Because you wanted me to panic. You wanted me scared enough to give in. Do you have any idea how insane that is? Watch your tone. I'm still your mother. No. The word came out steady and clear. You're not. Not anymore. A mother doesn't manipulate her children. A mother doesn't use grandchildren as weapons. You're done. Excuse me? I'm done with you, with Dad, with Vanessa, with all of this. You want someone to save Vanessa every time she makes bad choices? Fine, you do it, but leave me out of it. You can't cut off your family over something this petty. Watch me. I hung up. Then I blocked their numbers. Mom, Dad, Vanessa, Kyle, all of them. I blocked them on social media. I blocked their emails. I changed my emergency contacts at work. The next few weeks were strange. I kept expecting to feel guilty, to break down and unblock everyone, to apologize and smooth things over. Instead, I felt lighter, free, like I'd been carrying a weight I didn't realize was crushing me until it was gone. My Aunt Linda, Mom's sister, called 3 weeks later. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Before you hang up, I'm not calling to lecture you, she said immediately. I heard what happened. Your mother told me her version, but I know Patricia well enough to read between the lines. Okay. I just wanted to say I get it. I cut off my own sister for 2 years back in the 90s. She only came around when she needed something, and I was tired of being her safety net. Why are you telling me this? Because you're going to doubt yourself. People are going to tell you that family is everything, that you'll regret this, that blood is thicker than water. They're wrong. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is walk away. Did you and Mom ever reconcile? Linda laughed dryly. We're cordial now. Surface level pleasant. But we're not close, and we never will be. She hasn't changed. I just learned to accept her at a distance. After we hung up, I felt validated in a way I hadn't expected. Linda was successful, happy, well-adjusted. She'd set boundaries and survived. So could I. The first month of no contact was harder than I expected, though not in the way people warned me about. I didn't miss my parents or Vanessa. What I missed was the version of them I'd always hoped they'd become. The supportive family who celebrated my success instead of resenting it, who respected my boundaries instead of trampling them. Grieving people who never really existed felt absurd, but Dr. Carson assured me it was normal. You're mourning the loss of possibility, she explained during one session. The hope that they might change, that things might get better. That hope kept you tethered to a dynamic that wasn't serving you. Work became my refuge. The mixed-use development project I'd been leading got approved, and suddenly I was managing a team of 12 people and coordinating with contractors, city officials, and investors. The 16-hour days left little time to ruminate about family drama. My boss, Jennifer, pulled me aside one afternoon in late August. You seem different lately, she said. Not unkindly, more focused, more confident. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I almost laughed. Cutting off toxic family members wasn't exactly standard career advice, but she wasn't wrong about the results. Without the constant emotional drain of managing my family's crisis, I had energy to invest in my actual life. My designs became sharper, my presentations more compelling. I wasn't splitting my attention between professional responsibilities and whoever needed rescuing that week. I started therapy around this time too. Not because I was falling apart, but because I wanted to make sure I was processing everything healthfully. Dr. Carson was a no nonsense woman in her 50s who specialized in family dynamics and boundary setting. You did exactly what you should have done, she told me in our third session. Your family established a pattern where your success was expected to subsidize their choices. Breaking that pattern was necessary for your own well being. But they're still my family. Family is who supports you, respects you, and wants the best for you. Blood relation doesn't automatically qualify. You get to decide who earns a place in your life. Those sessions helped me stop second-guessing myself. I'd spent so long being the responsible one, the successful one, the one who fixed everything, that I'd never questioned whether that role was fair or sustainable. It wasn't. Eric and I met at a community garden workshop in September. I'd signed up on a whim, wanting to improve my landscaping skills. He was there because his school was starting a garden program and he needed ideas. We ended up partnering for the composting demonstration, laughing over our mutual incompetence at turning the pile properly. "You're an architect and you can't figure out the correct brown to green ratio?" he teased. "I design buildings, not decomposition systems," I shot back. "What's your excuse, science teacher?" "I teach 8th grade English. Actually, reading comprehension doesn't cover soil chemistry." We got coffee after the workshop, then dinner the following week. By October, we were seeing each other regularly, and I found myself actually talking about the family situation. Not seeking advice or validation, just sharing my story with someone who hadn't known me before. "That must have been incredibly hard," Eric said over Thai food one evening after I'd explained the whole saga. "Choosing yourself when everyone tells you that's selfish." "Everyone in my family tells me it's selfish. Most of my friends think I did the right thing. What do you think?" I considered the question. I think it was necessary. I think I should have done it years ago. I think there's probably a world where I could have handled it more gracefully, but honestly, I don't know what that would have looked like. They weren't interested in compromise. They wanted complete access to my resources, my home, my life. There's no gentle way to say no to that. Eric nodded. My dad hasn't spoken to me in 3 years because I didn't go into the family construction business. He took it as a personal betrayal. My mom still calls occasionally, but it's strained. I get it. Not the same situation, but I understand choosing your own path, even when it disappoints people who think they own your decisions. Having someone who genuinely understood, who didn't immediately jump to, but their family, felt like finding water in a desert. We didn't bond over family trauma. That was just one aspect of our relationship, but it helped that he didn't see my choice as shocking or extreme. October brought an unexpected complication. My company was invited to bid on a major hospital renovation project, which would be great for my career, but required extensive community outreach. The hospital was in the suburb where my parents lived, where Vanessa and Kyle had settled. I'd be working 20 minutes from their house, potentially for the next 2 years. Jennifer noticed my hesitation when she assigned me the project. "Problem?" she asked. "No." "Well, maybe. It's complicated." I gave her the abbreviated version. Family rift, same suburb, potential awkwardness. She listened carefully. "Do you think they'd actually interfere with your work?" "My mother might show up at a community meeting. She has opinions about everything and no filter for sharing them." "Would she be disruptive?" I thought about it. Mom loved being the victim in her narrative, but she also cared deeply about appearances. Causing a scene at her daughter's professional event might make her look bad, which she'd hate more than she'd enjoy the drama. Probably not. She'd more likely spread gossip. Try to turn community members against me. Jennifer shrugged. Then handle it professionally. If she shows up, treat her like any other community member. If she tries to cause problems, document it. But don't let the possibility of discomfort cost you a project that could make your career. She was right. I took the hospital project. The first community meeting was scheduled for mid-November at the local library. I prepared extensively. Detailed presentations, architectural renderings, traffic studies, environmental impact assessments. Everything was polished and professional. I wore my best suit and practiced my talking points until they felt natural. Mom showed up. I saw her the moment I walked into the meeting room. She sat in the third row, arms crossed, next to a woman I didn't recognize. When our eyes met, she didn't smile or acknowledge me, just stared with cold assessment. My heart hammered, but I forced myself to focus. 67 people had come to learn about the hospital project. One of them being my estranged mother didn't change my job. The presentation went smoothly. I explained the renovation plans, the timeline, the benefits to the community, answered questions about construction, noise, parking, environmental concerns. Mom didn't speak, but I felt her presence like a physical weight. During the break, she approached me at the refreshment table. Beulah. Patricia. I used her first name deliberately. Watched her flinch at the distance it created. Still being stubborn, I see. Still respecting my own boundaries, yes. Your sister had to move in with Kyle's parents. 3 kids in a 2-bedroom apartment. I hope you're proud of yourself. I poured coffee, kept my hand steady. Vanessa made choices. She's dealing with the consequences. That's how adulthood works. You've become cruel. I've become clear. There's a difference. I picked up my coffee and walked away, back to the front of the room where my colleague David was setting up for the second half of the presentation. Who was that? He whispered. Nobody important. Mom left before the meeting ended. I saw her collect her purse and coat, whisper something to her companion, and slip out the side door. Relief flooded through me, though I kept my expression neutral as I continued answering questions about the project's sustainability features. The woman Mom had been sitting with approached me after the meeting ended. Miss Thompson, I'm Carol Henderson. I'm on the hospital board. My stomach dropped. Had Mom gotten to a board member, and was she related to my firm's founder? The shared last name suddenly felt ominous. I just wanted to say your presentation was excellent, thorough, professional, exactly what we needed. I particularly appreciated your willingness to address concerns directly, rather than deflecting. Thank you. I believe community input is crucial for projects like this. Carol hesitated. I also wanted to mention, I know Patricia Thompson. We're in the same book club. She made some comments before the meeting started about family disagreements. I want you to know that personal matters don't influence professional assessment. Your work speaks for itself. The kindness in her voice nearly undid me. I appreciate that. For what it's worth, Patricia has been stirring up sympathy in our social circle, but most of us take her dramatic tendencies with a grain of salt. We've all heard various versions of her stories over the years. They don't always add up. After Carol left, I sat in my car for 20 minutes before driving home. The encounter had shaken me more than I wanted to admit. Seeing Mom in person, hearing her voice, facing her judgment, it brought everything back. But I'd held my ground, used her first name, walked away, refused to engage. Dr. Carson would be proud. Thanksgiving approached, and with it came the weird emptiness of not having family plans. Eric invited me to his place. He was cooking for a few friends who also didn't have family nearby. I brought sweet potato casserole and tried not to think about previous Thanksgivings at my parents' house with Mom's dry turkey, Dad's terrible jokes, and Vanessa's kids running around. You okay? Eric asked, finding me alone in his kitchen, washing dishes after dinner. Just processing. This is my first major holiday completely alone. Family-wise, I mean. You're not alone. You're here with people who actually like you. I smiled. You're right. It's just different. Different isn't bad. Christmas was harder. The house felt too quiet, too empty. I'd always loved decorating for Christmas. A real tree in the living room, lights on the pergola, wreaths on every door. This year, I couldn't muster the energy. The tree stayed in storage. I hung one wreath on the front door and called it done. Eric noticed when he came over on Christmas Eve. Where's all the decoration I've heard about? Didn't feel like it this year. He studied me carefully. Because you're sad about your family or because you associate Christmas with family obligations? The question made me pause. Both. Maybe. I used to host Christmas dinner. My parents, Vanessa's family, sometimes my Aunt Linda and her kids. It was exhausting but felt important. Now I don't know what the holiday is supposed to be. It's supposed to be whatever you want. No rules, no obligations. We ordered Chinese food and watched terrible holiday movies. It wasn't traditional, but it was peaceful. By New Year's, I felt lighter again. January brought unexpected news. Linda called to tell me that Vanessa and Kyle were separating. I thought you should know, even though you're not in contact. It's been coming for a while, apparently. Kyle's done being the only one working while Vanessa stays home. The kids are old enough for school now, but she won't get a job. That's between them. Patricia is predictably blaming you, says the stress of what you did to them destroyed their marriage. I almost laughed. Their marriage has been shaky since Madison was born. Everyone knows that. I know. I just wanted to warn you in case Patricia tries to use this as ammunition to force reconciliation. She's been telling everyone who will listen that you need to apologize and help Vanessa through the divorce. Vanessa is 28 years old. She can handle her own divorce. I agree. I just know Patricia. She's relentless when she wants something. Linda was right. 3 days later, I received a letter at my office. Not my home, my office, which meant Mom had looked up the address. Inside was 5 pages of handwritten guilt-tripping about how my selfishness had destroyed Vanessa's marriage, how the kids were suffering, how I needed to step up and help support them financially through this difficult time. The letter included a detailed budget showing Vanessa's expenses and a suggested amount I should contribute monthly, $2,000. I scanned the letter and emailed it to Dr. Carson with a note. Is this real life? Her response came within an hour. Unfortunately, yes. This is what happens when narcissistic family members don't get their way. They escalate. Do not respond. File it away in case you need a restraining order later. The idea of needing a restraining order against my own mother felt surreal, but I kept the letter. February arrived, and with it came a gradual acceptance of my new normal. Work continued to go well. The hospital project was moving into the design development phase. Eric and I celebrated 6 months together with a weekend trip to Milwaukee. Life felt stable in a way it never had when I was constantly managing family crisis. Then, in early March, Vanessa and Kyle's separation became final. Linda called to tell me they'd signed papers, that Kyle had moved in with his brother, that Vanessa was now truly on her own with 3 kids. I felt a pang of sympathy, but no regret. Their relationship problems existed long before our falling out. 3 months after the separation papers were signed, in June, about a year after our initial blow-up, Vanessa and Kyle reconciled and found a rental together. I learned this through Facebook mutual friends who still had access to Vanessa's posts. Apparently, Kyle's brother co-signed a lease for them, and the separation had scared them both into couples counseling. They'd been staying with Kyle's parents in the interim in a 2-bedroom apartment with 5 people. Donna had complained about it constantly on her own Facebook page. I felt a twinge of sympathy, but no regret. 2 months later, in August, 14 months after everything fell apart, I got a letter in the mail. My address, handwritten on an envelope with a return address I didn't recognize. Inside was a single page. Beulah, I'm sorry. You were right about everything. Moving in without asking was wrong. Letting Mom manipulate you was wrong. Using the kids as leverage was wrong. I don't expect you to forgive me or want a relationship, but I wanted you to know that I understand why you did what you did. I hope you're happy. Vanessa. I read it 3 times, looking for the catch. There wasn't one. Just an apology, simple and direct. I didn't respond. Maybe someday I would, but not yet. The wound was still too fresh, and I didn't trust that one letter meant real change. Vanessa had apologized before, usually right before asking for another favor. My parents never reached out. According to Linda, they doubled down on the narrative that I was cruel and selfish. They told extended family that I kicked Vanessa out when she was desperate, conveniently omitting the part where she tried to move in without permission. Some relatives believed them. Others stayed neutral. A few, like Linda, quietly reached out to check on me. Now, 18 months after that Saturday, when Vanessa showed up with moving boxes, I'm sitting in my home office with those floating shelves installed, working on a project proposal that could lead to a promotion to director. My house is still my sanctuary. I host dinner parties for my actual friends, people who appreciate me for who I am rather than what I can provide. I'm dating a guy named Eric who's a teacher and thinks my renovation skills are impressive. Life is good. Sometimes I see Vanessa's Facebook updates through mutual friends' shares. The kids look happy. Kyle seems stable. They're making it work. I'm glad. I genuinely am. Their success doesn't require my involvement, and my happiness doesn't require their approval. Mom and Dad are aging. Dad turned 68 last month. Mom is 65. Eventually, there might be elder care issues, medical decisions, end of life planning. I don't know what role I'll play in any of that, if any. Maybe they'll reach out when they need help. Maybe I'll be willing to provide it on my terms. Maybe not. The thing nobody tells you about cutting off family is that it's not a single dramatic moment. It's a series of small choices day after day to prioritize your own well-being over their expectations. It's choosing not to answer calls, not to explain yourself, not to justify your boundaries. It's accepting that some people will think you're wrong and being okay with that. I saved Vanessa's wedding reception. I gave her my home, my time, my energy. It was never going to be enough because the problem wasn't my generosity. It was their expectation of unlimited access to it. My house is still beautiful. The backyard still gets compliments from neighbors. The renovations still make me proud, but now it's truly mine, not a resource for others to claim whenever convenient. Family comes first, Mom always said. She was wrong. I come first. My peace comes first. My boundaries come first. Everything else is negotiable. I don't regret cutting them out. I regret that it was necessary, that they couldn't respect me enough to make a different choice possible. But the actual decision, I'd make it again in a heartbeat. Some bridges are supposed to burn.